Everyone, welcome to Sri Krishna classes. Today I am going to teach you The Sound Machine by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl was a popular British novelist, short story writer, poet, and fighter pilot. He was born in Cardiff, Wales, in Great Britain on September 13, 1916. As a child, Dahl had a passion for literature. He was also an expert photographer and excelled at sports. After his graduation from Repton School in 1933, Dahl went to work for the Shell Oil Company of East Africa in 1939. He joined as an officer in the King's African Rifles and then served in the Royal Air Force. After suffering from severe injuries, he was sent back to England on the disabled list. His short stories are known for their unexpected endings and his children's books for their humor. Dahl also wrote several scripts for movies and some of his own books were made into popular films. He died on November 23, 1990 in Oxford, England. The Sound Machine is a popular short story which was first published in September 1949 issue of the magazine. The New Yorker later on it appeared in a short story collection. Someone Like You published by Alfred Knopf in 1953. So, it is the story of a man who was obsessed with sounds. He creates a sound machine and alleges that he could hear sounds which are inaudible to the human ear. So, like a typical Roald story, it has an unexpected ending. When the sound machine is destroyed and the readers are left to conclude whether the man's invention was an illusion or a reality. So as Ernest Hemingway used to use the iceberg theory, as it is a theory where a writer only gives 20% or 30% part of his story and rest of the part is left to his own readers because everything he never used to disclose. The same way, Roald Dahl's story, The Sound Machine, gives us our own sense, our own intelligence to evaluate actually what happened, the story was an illusion or a reality. So begin the story with its fabulous lines. It was a warm summer evening, and Klosner walked quickly through the front gate and around the side of the house and into the garden at the back. He went on down the garden until he came to a wooden shed, and he unlocked the door, went inside, and closed the door behind him. The interior of the shed was an unpainted room. Against one wall on the left there was a long wooden workbench, and on it, among a littering of wires and batteries and small sharp tools, there stood a black box about 3 feet long, the shape of a child's coffin. So, warm summer evening, and the protagonist of this story, Klosner, he was walking through the main gate and around the side of the house, and then he was using his backyard of his home. He went on down the garden until he was reaching to a wooden shed. Shed is a shelter here, and he is unlocking the door. He goes inside and closed the door behind him. So there definitely his invention was kept over there, and the shed or the shade was an unpainted room, and at one wall on the left side there was a long wooden workbench, and on it, among a littering of wires and batteries and small sharp tools. So they have been kept over there, वो वहाँ रखे हुए थे. वो जो इन्वेंशन कर रहे थे। और वहाँ सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट बात जो थी वो ये थी कि एक ब्लैक बॉक्स रखा हुआ था जो लगभग 3 फीट लंबा था। इट वॉज अराउंड 3 फीट लॉन्ग एंड द शेप of a child's coffin. So it was looking as a child's coffin. It was as small as a child's coffin should be. Klasener moved across the room to the box. The top of the box was open and he bent down and began to poke and peer inside it among a mass of different colored wires and silver tubes. He picked up a piece of paper that lay beside the box, studied it carefully, put it down, peered inside the box, and started running his fingers along the wire, tugging gently at them to test the connections, glancing back at the paper, then into the box, then at the paper again, checking each wire. He did this for perhaps an hour. So what happened? He moved across the room to the box. वो बॉक्स तक जाते हैं. The top of the box was already open. He bends down and he begins to poke and peer inside. अब वहाँ पे different colored की wires हैं, silver tubes हैं, तो वो उनको उसमें देखते हैं, झांकते हैं. He picked up a piece of paper. Then he picked up a piece of paper which was laying inside the box, and then again he started running his fingers along the wires. It means he was settling down the wires, whatsoever invention he was doing, whatsoever he was preparing. So something he was doing very curiously, and he wanted that things should be settled down. And he was tugging gently at them to test the connection, glancing back at the paper, then into the box, then at the paper again, then checking each wire. He did this for perhaps an hour. So he devoted it perhaps an hour to check all the things, all the wires. He was doing the testing and all, and then he wanted to be satisfied whether the things or the invention is going in a right way or not. Tugging means it was pulling hard, and twiddling means he was turning it nervously. So he then put a hand around to the front of the box where there were 3 dials, and he began to twiddle them, watching at the same time the movement of the mechanism inside the box. All the while he kept speaking softly to himself, nodding his head, smiling sometimes, his hands always moving, the fingers moving swiftly, deftly inside the box, his mouth twisting into curious shapes when a thing was delicate or difficult to do, saying, "Yes, yes, and now this one, yes, yes. But is this right? Is it? Where is my diagram?" So he wants to arrange that box. There were 3 dials kept over there, and skillfully, deftly means he was skillfully, his hands were moving into the box, his mouth twisting into curious shapes, and when he was going to settle it down, he was specifying himself while saying, "Yes, yes, and now this one, but is this right?" Then he was again asking the questions from himself, और फिर वो पूछते हैं कि उनका diagram कहाँ है, because already we have read that there was a piece of paper which was giving him help to settle down his machine which he was preparing. Yes, of course, yes, yes, that's right, and now, good, good, yes, 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 yes. His concentration was intense, his movements were quick. There was an air of urgency about the way he worked, of breathlessness, of strong suppressed excitement. Suddenly he heard footsteps on the gravel path outside, and he straightened and turned swiftly as the door opened and a tall man came in. It was Scott. It was only Scott, the doctor. So he was concentrating on his project, whatsoever he was making. उनके movements बहुत तेज़ हो गए थे, वो बहुत जल्दी जल्दी काम कर रहे थे. So he was in the sort of excitement all of a sudden he was hearing the footsteps coming from the gravel path, and he was damn sure that the person who is coming over there, a tall man, and he was Dr. Scott only. Well, 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 the doctor said. So this is where you hide yourself in the evening. Hello, Scott, Klausner said. I happened to be passing, the doctor told him. So I dropped in to see how you were. There was no one in the house, so I came on down here. How's the throat of yours been behaving? It's all right, it's fine. Now I'm here, I might as well have a look at it. Please don't trouble, I'm quite cured, I'm fine. When doctor came all of a sudden over there, so Klausner was not feeling comfortable. That is why he was he was in not in a good mood. That he did not want that the doctor should know what he is doing. Doctor was asking whether he is not feeling well. Maybe that he is not feeling well, but he said no. He is all right. He has been cured. But this created a sort of sensation, a sort of curiosity in doctor's mind that something is going on. The doctor began to feel the tension in the room. He looked at the black box on the bench. Then he looked at the man. You have got your hat on, he said. Oh, have I? Klausner reached up, removed the hat and put it on the bench. The doctor came up closer and bent down to look into the box. What is this? He said, making a radio. No, just fooling around. It's got rather complicated.